Enthusiasm for plane spotting at the Minneapolis St Paul International Airport is extremely high. With a good mix of airline, cargo, diversions, and military traffic, crowds gather quite often to take photos and videos of aircraft. That's indeed true for my next guest, who goes to MSP as often as he can to take great photos and videos like these. Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I am focusing most recently on people that are aviation enthusiasts, specifically people who like to take photos of aircraft or videos. Those are called spotters. I myself really have not done a lot of that throughout my life, although I do have a very, very strong interest in viewing the photos that other people have taken. So I do appreciate everything that they've done for all of us out there in the aviation community to be able to see such great, great imagery of aircraft. Now, the Minneapolis St Paul International Airport in Minneapolis is a busy airport as it's a hub for Delta Airlines. There's also a lot of activity with Sun Country Airlines, but for some reason, the community at MSP who are spotters are extremely enthusiastic. I think it's one of the most enthusiastic and all-inclusive groups of spotters that you'll find anywhere in the United States. And today, I'm going to be talking to one of those spotters. I'd like to welcome John Newsom to my channel today. John, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for joining me.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
It's definitely a pleasure. So you are based in the Minneapolis St Paul area, correct?
Yep, that is correct.
All right. And you are a spotter. So you're out there quite often. I know temperatures do get very cold in that area.
Yes, they do.
So you're out there taking photos. Tell me a little about yourself and why you're into this.
Yeah, so I'm 30 years old and I've lived in the St. Paul, Minneapolis area my whole life. And growing up as a kid, I got to fly a lot with my dad, generally on Northwest Airlines, which was a very big airline in this area. And so just being a little kid, being on the planes, getting to just kind of check them out close up. And then also the little spotting deck that they have at MSP was a cool place that we went to pretty much every weekend. I just wanted to be around planes. So fast forward to about 2016, when I got into photography. I just thought maybe the two would be a good fit for each other. And I discovered a few good spots to spot from and just really fell in love with it all.
Great. So 2016 is when you started getting into photography. Did you purchase a camera specifically for spotting?
No, I didn't actually. I just got my first DSLR and was kind of taking pictures of things in my backyard and just my friends and stuff like that. And I was looking on Google Maps actually to see if maybe there was a cool place around the airport where I could see some planes, and found the new viewing area that they had. And so I thought, oh, I'll go check this out. And one day there and I was hooked.
And where's that viewing area located?
So it's located on Cargo Road and it's pretty much in the middle of the airport. It gives you a great view of runway 30L 12R, which is the big main runway there. But you can see a lot of stuff around to the sides too. So it gives you very good angles on lots of different things.
And what's the vibe like when you're there? Are there a lot of other people taking photos?
Yeah. So if you go, in the middle of a weekday, it can be pretty quiet, a couple people hanging out in their cars. But, if you go on an evening in the summer, on a weekend, there's tons of people there. If we're getting a cool 747 diversion coming in, the whole place can be completely packed out. And it's just very fun and friendly. Lots of cool people who are just enthusiastic about aviation, talking and having a great time.
It's a great place to be to talk about aviation.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of the spotters out there are very, very insistent upon jotting every tail number down that they see. Is that something that you do, or are you just strictly more of a photographer, whatever comes your way?
So when I'm editing my photos, I do organize them by tail number. So when I'm saving the file after I'm done editing it, I'll put what the tail number is down, because there's a few different airlines and types of aircraft that I am trying to collect all the tail numbers for. I've gotten pretty close with some of them too.
Very nice. How often do you go out to the airport to take photos?
I probably get out there about 3-4 times a week. Probably a lot more during the summer. I try to get out there as much as possible. If it's a -30 wind chill, maybe stay home a little more. But if there is something really cool coming in, I'll make sure to get out there and see that as well.
And when you're there, you're also listening into the control tower?
I do sometimes. There's a lot of people there who do listen to it very frequently. I'm pretty good at guessing which runway a plane is going to come to, but I almost missed seeing Air Force one time. But I was listening to the control tower and it looked like it was coming in on the other runway. So I scrambled and got over there and was able to see it. So it does come in useful, definitely.
Absolutely, especially for a military aircraft that you may not necessarily know is coming in because it may be blocked or something like that on different flight trackers.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. And that brings me to a slight discussion about military at MSP. There is a Air National Guard there. And so the airport has a very unique mix of commercial operations with military options. Do you photograph any of the military aircraft too?
Yes, I do. We've had some really cool ones come through. The KC-35 is one of my favorites, and gotten to see that a couple times. And then the C-130s we see pretty frequently. Actually, just driving around the Twin Cities during the day, you may see a couple of them passing by overhead, which is cool. But I like that combination. I like being able to see a little bit of both. It keeps things fresh and interesting.
Yeah, as someone who is really based out of New York City, we really don't see any military operations at all at the big airports here. And I was quite surprised to very, very often see the C-130s just behind my 737,
Yeah.
just taking off like that. It was quite interesting. And I was thinking, wow, how often does it happen? I don't know how many airports there are out there, like large hubs out airports where you really get that really, really good mix.
Yeah, I haven't actually thought about that before this, but thinking of just spotting at Chicago and Miami and some other places, I haven't really seen that.
Yeah, not a lot out there. So you have that mix of airplanes coming in, which provides some really good photo opportunities. But it's primarily Delta aircraft. The majority of aircraft are going to be Delta aircraft that are going to be coming in to the airport. Does that get a little bit mundane? Is that something that you say, oh, another aircraft on Delta colors coming in? What other forms of photos do you want to take, or the types of photos, other aircraft, specific aircraft within the Delta fleet? Just let's talk about variety, basically,
Sure.
since you have so much Delta.
Yeah, so I'd be lying if I said we didn't get a little sick of the Delta CRJs that we see quite frequently. But lately we've seen some of the A350s coming through, and those are just beautiful aircraft. I like seeing the 767s without winglets. It seems to be pretty rare these days to see an aircraft without winglets, and we have gotten some of the 400 series of those in, which is nice. The new A220s are pretty cool. So at least there's a variety of different types of Delta aircraft. Back when the 747s were still in service, that was awesome. If we got a couple day heads up that one of those was coming in, I mean, that turned into a big social event. So many people came out to see those. And if it is just kind of the same aircraft going over and over, I try to find different angles to take them at, different vantage points. If there's a beautiful sunset, something like that, just to keep it fresh and interesting.
And what about the other carriers that are based at MSP? Anything interesting about them? Sun Country flights, or anybody that's flying out of the e-concourse?
Yeah, yeah. During the summer before COVID, we actually had quite a variety of some different European airlines. We had Aer Lingus had started flying back here, Iceland Air. I do love Sun Country. I've flown on them a lot, actually, and it's been kind of interesting to see them go from, their kind of their older livery to that medium one that was just dark blue, and then to the new one that people call Tide Pod One or the Flying Carrot. So they've kept it pretty fresh for us there too. Also, they've got Amazon Prime cargo planes now that they've got that we see pretty frequently at MSP, and I like the colors on those. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, those are starting to pop up more and more throughout the country. And you also mentioned Sun Country. Do you ever see any of those Sun Country aircraft that with the T on the tail that are coming from Transavia Airlines?
Um, yes, it's been a couple of years, but I do enjoy those quite a bit. I've seen a couple different varieties of those too. And the first time I saw one, I thought, oh, that says Sun Country on it, but it's got green all over it. And what the heck is going on? But yeah, it's nice to see those mix it up too.
Yeah, same here. I was in the same situation. I was in a hotel right outside of MSP, and I got a great view of the airport operations. And there was this Transavia-looking Sun Country airplane out there. Couldn't figure out, but it turns out that the two of them had a partnership. I don't know if it still exists, where they would kind of just lease aircraft between the two from
Yeah.
Amsterdam to Minneapolis.
Yeah,
So
I imagine once international travel, boosts a little more, or just even more domestic stuff, we may see those back here again, which would be cool.
Yeah, that's definitely exciting to see those unique aircraft. So again, you're getting airlines like Aer Lingus that come as an international carrier. I know Condor has been an operator at MSP also, but you're
Yep.
not really getting the lion's share of all the international carriers. They're going more towards airports like Chicago O'Hare. When Chicago O'Hare is shut down, or if there's a problem in Chicago, aircraft have to divert. Do you get a lot of that really interesting international wide body aircraft to MSP from Chicago?
We certainly have seen some pretty cool ones. There was one day that we had three different big wide body international ones came. I think it was Japan Airlines, a Korean one, and then a Lufthansa 747. So people called that Diversion Day. That was pretty cool. We've got a newer Lufthansa A350 came through one time, and I was able to get some really cool shots of that because the light was just getting kind of low, but it was taxiing by pretty slow. So I got to practice my panning with that one. We've had a couple come overnight, a Norwegian 787. And I'm glad I was still awake for that because I was about to go to sleep and I saw it coming in on Flight Radar and I thought, oh, I better get over there. So yeah, we do get some cool stuff diverting. You know, my friends in Chicago, sorry to say, but I hope for bad weather for you guys sometimes.
So do you actually monitor the weather at an airport like Chicago to kind of alert you to a day where you could possibly be getting those aircraft?
Well, what's pretty cool with the community of spotters at MSP and especially with the big Facebook page is generally people have posted about it on there before I even have a chance to look at their weather. So I think, oh, okay, people are talking about storms rolling into Chicago. I should keep a closer eye on this for the next couple of days, and maybe we'll see something cool come in.
And you've got a community of people that can alert you right there on the internet.
Yep.
So you're made aware of that in advance. Great, great. What about other airports in MSP, in the Minneapolis St Paul area, I should say? Do you do any photography at the neighboring airports? I know there's a bunch of GAs around there.
Yeah. So Flying Cloud in Eden Prairie is pretty cool. I've seen some really old kind of vintage warbirds that people have had there, and that's been nice. I live in St. Paul, so I'm actually fairly close to the downtown St. Paul airport. And there's not nearly as much traffic at that one, but there are some really cool little business jets and propeller planes that come in there. They've got a restaurant too with a little viewing area out front. So I enjoy that one a lot. The Anoka County Blaine Airport is awesome. And during the summer, they usually have little open houses and little air shows around here. And I love seeing those too.
Really? They have that with all the traffic coming into MSP, they're able to hold an air show in the area?
Yep. Yep. The Flying Cloud Airport has had a couple, as well as the Anoka Blaine one. And sometimes even like a smaller place like the Crystal Airport will have an open house and they'll bring in some fire trucks and some, a snow plow, but also we've gotten a Minnesota State Patrol helicopter came there and just some other cool little warbirds that people brought in. So
that's pretty neat.
Keep summer interesting, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Yes. Take advantage of it while the weather is warm.
Mm-hmm.
So do you fly at all?
So as a passenger, I used to fly all the time. With COVID, it kind of calmed down a little bit, but I love even just taking a day trip over to Chicago O'Hare just to go spotting there. A lot of my relatives live in Fort Myers, so I get back and forth between Florida a lot. I have been in the front seat of a Cessna 172 one time, and that was amazing. So I am planning on getting my private pilot's license sometime here in the next couple of years.
Oh, excellent. Very nice. And when you are flying as a passenger on a commercial airliner, are you also taking photos, or are you just more of a ground-based photographer?
Yeah, I do try to at least get one clear shot of the wing on every one that I do. Sometimes I get to go in the flight deck and I can get a couple photos in there, which is pretty cool. But if, on takeoff or landing, if I see any good shots out the window, I'm always trying to capture that stuff as well. The other passengers probably think I'm nuts, just sitting there with the camera snapping away, but
oh, yeah.
I love it.
I'm just using my phone, but I'm that guy too.
Nice.
So what are some of the most unique aircraft or airlines that you have photographed, whether it be in O'Hare or Minneapolis or anywhere?
Yeah. So one of the coolest ones I saw was a 727. That was it was a Kalitta charter, and it was an equine plane that had horses in it. Actually, it's commonly referred to as Air Horse One. But saw a little note on the Facebook page that was coming in, and I sat at the airport for hours, but did get some good photos of that. Atlas Air has brought the Jacksonville Jaguars in on a 767 passenger charter, which was pretty cool. Some of the more interesting military planes coming through are pretty awesome too. Chicago's great. They get a lot of cargo 747s, and I've seen some cool stuff there. The Star Wars livery on the All Nippon Airlines one came right over me in perfect light one time, so that was really awesome.
So I also know that there are a couple places within Terminal 1 to take photographs. There's an observation deck on top of the D gates. I go up there. There's never anybody up there. When you fly, do people know about that? Do they normally go there? I like it. I'm there usually.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I used to go up there a lot as a kid with my dad, back when you could even go into the airport without a plane ticket. So I've just known about it my whole life, but most of the time when I go up there, I really don't see anyone there either. It's very quiet and very peaceful. But I know some other people who are interested in aviation spotting have taken some pictures up there. So it's maybe the little secret of MSP.
Exactly. There actually was a sign there that said observation deck, and I was there not too long ago. The sign is gone, but the stair is still there. So I made sure I went up there,
Yep.
get a little bit of R&R between flights and take a couple of photos.
Exactly. I found a pillow and a blanket up there one time, so it looked like somebody really did
They're
get some
always up
R&R
there.
one time.
Yep. There's always a cotton pillow up there. And sometimes you'll see someone laying down on it also up there, not looking out the window.
That's right.
Yep. So you mentioned the technology, Facebook, and the power of community. 20 years ago, none of this existed. People were basically had no access to anything to get information about flights. Nothing was on the internet. They basically would have to just sit at the airport all day and wait for aircraft to come in, and perhaps maybe go against, an airline guide schedule or something like that, the old schedule books that were published. But they really didn't know what they were going to see. Of course, especially for diversions, there's no way to know. Do you think that people are spending less time at the airport nowadays because of the technology that we have? They'll wait for something to be anticipated, or are there just some people out there who will still spend 8 hours out there in the cold?
That's a great question, actually. I think there's a good mix of the two. I think there are some people who really just love shooting all the different planes and want to be out there all day just to see what's coming in. And you'll sort of get to know who those people are because you'll see them out very frequently. But then all of a sudden you see that maybe we're getting a cool sports charter coming in, and all of a sudden the whole parking lot fills up with people right around the time that aircraft is coming in. And then once it parks, a lot of those people leave. So I think you do have a good large group of people who are just paying attention to this stuff online and are just going to see these kind of more unique and interesting aircraft. But there are also a group of people who are just out there all the time, just kind of seeing what's there. And, like you said, with a military aircraft, sometimes we don't know when those are coming in. So we can get some cool treats if we're spending more time out there.
Definitely. And this has been going on for quite some time now. I have a pretty good understanding that a lot of people in the area are fans of Northwest Airlines, and a lot of the enthusiasts for Northwest has been passed down to newer generations. Have you seen any of that there where people are still holding on to Northwest and they just still want to be at the airport and take a lot of photos of the Delta airplanes or tail numbers that end in NW?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it seems like everybody either knows a former Northwest pilot or they know someone who was a flight attendant or a mechanic. My next door neighbor growing up was a Northwest mechanic, and I got a chance to walk around a DC-9 Northwest plane when it was in the hangar one time. So that was pretty cool. But I've just heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, I love that photo of that, that Delta plane. I flew on that when it was a Northwest plane." And a lot of people had a lot of Northwest stories when they were retiring the Delta 747s. So I think that that culture really lives on. Even go to an antique shop anywhere in this area, and you'll find some cool old Northwest stuff in there too.
Really? So you're actually going outside the airport community into the city in different places, and you can just see that the aviation is just in the blood of people in Minnesota there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very interesting. Great. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us before we end the session today?
I would just say if anybody has never been to MSP and you're interested in aircraft or you're interested in spotting, come on down to the aircraft viewing area. If you go there on like I said, a warm summer evening or on a weekend day, you'll see a lot of people and everybody's very friendly. Come introduce yourself, say hi, and hopefully you'll see some cool stuff.
Well, I think I'm going to take your advice and do so during my next connection if I have a long enough connection in MSP.
Nice. We look forward to it.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you so much, John, for your time today. Really, really interesting. It's amazing how much enthusiasm goes into specifically this airport and all the airplanes that are flying into and out of it, whether it's part of their regular schedule or a diversion or something quite interesting like military operations. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so that you're alerted as to every time I post something new. And if you'd like to be featured in one of these videos, just leave a comment in the comment section below. Thank you, everybody, and thanks, John.